Okay. All right. I guess, Ms. Cheney, we'll start with you here. You're down here in Little Rock, of all places, representative from Wyoming coming to Little Rock. I guess what's the occasion?
Well, I'm honored to be here on behalf of my really dear friend, French Hill, somebody I serve with in the House. I know French, I know how hard he works. I know what an impact he has the people of Arkansas, and I know how important it is we get him reelected. And so I am just thrilled to be able to be here on French's behalf. We need to make sure that we get him back to Washington, defending and supporting the kind of policies that are going to continue to serve people of Arkansas second.
I guess, in your opinion, what does French bring to the table?
Boy, so much. I cannot say enough good about him and about the impact he has. There are some members who the only impact they have is how they cast their vote. But French not only is doing the right thing to make sure that his own personal vote reflects what's necessary to defend the values, the freedom, the economic opportunity and prosperity for people in Arkansas, but he's also bringing other people with him. He is just a leader in our conference in terms of, particularly as we face the challenging issues we are with respect to the pandemic, as we look through how the CARES Act funds are being implemented, as we look at what tax policy needs to be, how do we make sure we maintain those tax cuts. He's just a leader, and he's somebody who can get the whole conference moving in the right direction, which magnifies his impact certainly for his constituents.
I guess French, I mean, she's just gushing over here. When you hear glowing endorsements such as that, how do you feel about that? Just not only as a fellow representative, but also just as a guy.
Yeah, Liz Cheney's been my friend for a quarter century. We worked together with President Bush. I have valued Liz's work ethic, her intellect on foreign policy, defense policy for really almost 3 decades now. And she's just first rate. America is so lucky to have her in Congress representing Wyoming. And it's great in campaigns, Jay. Your friends come together. That's the beauty of campaigning, is it brings out all your friends to work with you. And I love the fact that John Boozman and Liz Cheney are on the campaign trail for me in White County today. It makes my day, and we're having a great time calling out those fine old voters. Come on out here and help French Hill go back to represent the people of Arkansas.
And Senator Boozman, I mean, you don't need to be on the campaign trail, but you guys just can't get enough of this kind of thing, apparently.
Well, we're on the campaign trail, and then also we're doing a lot of business in the sense of visiting with things like Unity Health, talking about tracing, talking about the importance of testing with the police department, again, seeing how we can help them through education, various federal programs. So all that's great.
John
Senator, let me get your just opinion on this. With the whole Barrett situation, very partisan. She's one of those ones where I believe she was the first judge confirmed without any minority support of any kind. For you personally, I mean, just what was that process like? And then I guess kind of what was your takeaway from just seeing it split down party lines?
Well, I think it's sad, when you look back to Judge Ginsburg, Mitch McConnell voted for her. That's how far we've come. The reason being was that she was qualified. Everybody agreed with that. She had the academic ability. She had the judicial temperament, all the things that she proved. Now, you don't necessarily believe in some of the things she's done, but she was chosen by a president. And then again, the tradition then was that if they were qualified, you got confirmed. Now we're in a situation where it doesn't matter what candidate President Trump put forward or any other Republican president, they would be opposed. So we've gotten ourselves in this very bad situation. The tradition also is that when you have the president in power and then the same party in the Senate, president always brings forth the candidate. If you have it matching up, they're almost always confirmed. If they don't match up, they're almost never confirmed. So all of that was good, but it's sad that we've gotten ourselves in a situation where things are so very partisan. A good example of that would be Dianne Feinstein giving Lindsey Graham a hug. They've worked together for decades, long time, okay? And again, appreciate each other as colleagues. And that's all that was about. But you can't believe, in fact, you can believe, you keep up with these things, you know, the firestorm that brought was just, you know, it's ridiculous.
And Representative Cheney, just sort of your thoughts. I know you weren't necessarily part of that process, but to also see just another woman on the high court there, just kind of your general takeaway. And I'm sure you've had some of those discussions with Ms. Barrett as well.
Well, look, I think first of all, she was just unbelievably impressive during her confirmation hearings. Exactly the kind of person you want to have sitting on the bench, somebody who made clear she's going to follow the rule of law. And then, you know, on a personal note, I actually found it very moving the morning that there was a video of her leaving her house with her 7 kids, and she sort of gathered them all up and loaded them in the minivan. I'm a mother of 5. Anybody who has kids has experienced that feeling of trying to herd your kids into the minivan, and realizing that she was putting her kids in the minivan to go to the airport, to go be nominated to sit on the Supreme Court. And you know, as a mom and as a woman, as a conservative, it was just very special to see. And I was so proud of the job that she did during her hearings, and she absolutely deserved to be confirmed. And I'm sure she's going to do a tremendous job on the court.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, and it feels like I'm hurting them too. So, you know, I feel that 100%. Senator Boozman, go ahead.
Well, the other thing too, I had the opportunity to visit with her, you know, one-on-one, and she's a lady, you know, growing up in New Orleans, going to school in Memphis at Rhodes, and then going on to Notre Dame. You know, she's a creature of the Midwest and the South.
Yeah, good point.
And it really comes across, you know, sitting there talking to her. This is a brilliant lady. She's excelled in everything she's ever done. And yet it seemed like you were talking to your sister. And I mean that in a very good way, just so down to earth. So, you know, but, you know, didn't matter what you threw at her, you know, was so very capable. So I think she's going to do great. I think the fact that she is of that background as opposed to Yale or Harvard, although those things really don't matter, you know, you should do your best to interpret the law as it was written, not as you want it to be. That's really.
I do want to kind of just get your take, Ms. Cheney, on the pandemic here. I know Wyoming, kind of in a different world than Arkansas, despite there being some similarities between the 2 states. You know, I guess just for, you know, our people here, you know, how have you guys handled it? And is there anything that you've lent to Arkansas or gleaned from Arkansas in handling COVID-19?
Well, I think what we've seen now, we're having a real spike, unfortunately, across Wyoming. And we just had Dr. Deborah Burks was out visiting our Indian reservation, talking about what additional measures we need to take. But I think, you know, watching what's happened here, watching what the governor's been able to do, recognizing how important it is, as you point out, that it's going to be different in every state, but that there are a lot of those decisions that really need to be made at a local level. And one of the most important things is to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep people out of the hospitals and not putting our healthcare workers in a position where they're just unbelievably taxed and where, you know, we could run the risk of running out of space. And so those things like masking, social distancing, testing, those are all very important. And I know there was a great visit this morning to talk about exactly those things and what's happening to make sure that there's responsible care being given here.
And I guess, gentlemen, sort of in response to that, sort of the other way around, is there anything that, you know, Arkansas has gleaned from Wyoming, and anything that you guys have lent, you know, specifically to the state of Wyoming? And then I guess kind of just reaction to, you know, similar to Wyoming, Arkansas seeing kind of some, you know, ebb and flow, but those ebbs and flows seem to be a little higher than what they were maybe even 3-4 months ago.
Well, we can all learn from each other in terms of the living conditions. Representative Cheney talked about Indian reservations. We struggle with our Marshallese population in Northwest Arkansas. We struggle with the close proximity in some of our poultry processing plants, for example. So these governors are on the phone with each other every week, learning best practices and ideas on coping with these unique challenges that each state faces. But the bottom line is we have to, as we develop a vaccine, develop these improved therapeutics that keep people in shorter, if any, hospital stay. We've got to maintain the effort at masking and social distancing. And Jay, look at the results, really. While the cases are up, and we recognize that, we also see school back successfully across our state in most instances, and the kids gaining the benefit of being back with their teachers, back with their classroom. And I think what Governor Hutchinson's done so capably is not a one-size-fits-all approach, but allowing some flexibility in work, education, court, government process. And so we've got a lot of good here, and I think that's true in all of our states, and we need to share that information with each other.
Yeah. We were at Unity Health earlier today talking about, they're really one of the premier, well, they do as good a job as any entity in Arkansas regarding testing, which is so important. You know, you might be there at the studio and the person next to you tests positive. So, you know, you've got to be quarantined because you've been in association with them. Well, many people aren't paying those people while they've been home for a week waiting for the test results. So they've been the champions of really getting the test results out quickly. And then two, you can identify who they've been with so that you know, immediately, not a week later, you know, as they've infected so many other people. So these are the things that we really need to concentrate on. And the good news is the governor's doing a really good job in that regard. And then also the federal component, we really have pushed a lot of dollars out in that space, and going to push a lot more out as soon as the election's over.
And I guess, you know, for you guys, maybe not necessarily waiting for election results for yourselves personally, but how invested do you guys get into supporting your friends or even, you know, other candidates just across the country? And Cheney, we'll start with you. You know, kind of what's that feeling like, still seeing results roll in, even if you're not necessarily directly involved in the race?
Well, I think we all look at it from the perspective of what's best for the country. And certainly, you know, you get to know each other, you work with each other, you have friendships, and those are really important. And in addition to that, though, is the extent to which, you know, we got to make sure we have people like French Hill who are going to fight for the right things, who are going to fight to keep taxes low, who are going to fight to cut regulation, who are going to fight to ensure that we can recover from this pandemic and that our economy comes out of it stronger. And so it's really the substance. And I know, you know, every election you go through, you can watch afterwards and see how much that election mattered, what a difference it made. And so I think we all watch from that perspective of just knowing, you know, it's going to make a big difference next Tuesday if we manage to ensure that the Republicans are in charge versus having the Democrats in charge. It's going to be a very stark difference. And so I know we're all out working hard to make sure we get Republicans elected like French.
And Senator Boozman, I guess same question to you.
Well, again, it's a real honor to be helping French, and French is a good friend. People ask me, you know, why are you supporting him? And the answer for me is he's right on the issues, you know, compared for the average Arkansan. The other thing is he's a person of character, and then it goes to the fact that these are powerful offices. You know, we're all called to do different things. He's committed to using the power of that office for good, for helping Arkansans, and in representing Arkansas with the rest of the country. Really concerned about the Senate. I've helped a number of our Senate colleagues. That's so important. I don't want Senator Schumer taking over along with Speaker Pelosi. I think that would radically change our country. And again, those are not I think the conservative values that the average Arkansan represents.
Right on.